Hi, I'm Gareth. This is the 1 year point since we had solar panels installed. And given that I've got a year's data, I thought it might be useful to put together a short video to cover how much we've saved so far since we had solar and battery installed. So this is our total energy consumption at home over the last couple of years. And the tall orange bars show the total that we've been consuming at home. And although it goes up and down as the seasons change and as the month length varies, it doesn't change by that much. So it's a bit noisy, but there haven't been any significant drifts up or down. The green wobbly line shows the energy consumption from charging the car. And again, that's maybe drifted slightly downwards and a significant jump down in February because of my broken wrist. But apart from that, it hasn't changed all that much. The yellow bars is the energy that has been generated from solar. And although that's not nothing, it's not a vast contribution. We are never ever going to be self-sufficient for energy here at home, particularly if we add a heat pump at some point. We've run out of roof to use, and that's it. You know, the very best month we're probably about 25% or 30% of our total energy consumption is coming from solar towards the end of spring, early summer last year. And then if you look into December last year, it was basically square root of sod all, really nothing coming from solar. So our consumption position hasn't really changed that much over the period concerned. However, the costs is a very different story. Now, I'm not going to talk through this graph again because I did this to death in previous videos, but we saw a very significant reduction in cost once we had installed a battery last summer. It came down and it stayed right down. And yeah, I'm not going to repeat myself as to why it's stayed down over the course of the winter, but it really has stayed very low across winter 23, January 24, to the extent that I had to sort of move up this area to move up above the line because this cost here in December was so low it was getting in the way of this label. So yeah, our energy costs kind of bobbled there around what the sort of 40-50 pounds mark for the last several months. And we've got a similar story here if we're looking at the unit costs that electricity has cost us. So this line at the top is the unit cost according to the UK national price cap. So that's kind of the typical standard variable rate that most people are going to be paying for their electricity. This line here shows the amount that we actually paid per unit. To the extent that this calculation actually doesn't really make sense for last month because it shows us it's basically paying -1 pence per unit. That's how much we were saving through participating in various schemes. Our cost of electricity has been kind of more or less trending to zero over this period. It's been insane and it's stayed insanely low. But this is the slide that I wanted to talk through most of all on this video because this is a waterfall diagram which shows where all of the savings have come from. And I'm concentrating on February because actually we haven't generated that much solar in February. So you can see that most of the contribution is coming from the battery and from the participation in various schemes. So let's kind of go through this slide from left to right. So on the basis of all of the electricity we used in February, the total cost for that, if we'd just kind of been buying that at the price cap rate, that would have cost us £265. So that's this figure over here. We're not on the price cap scheme. We're on a tariff called Octopus Intelligent Go. And so just if we'd had like no battery, no solar, but just being on that tariff, we would have saved about £21 last month. And our total bill instead of 265 would have been 244. So that's this figure here. But we still got some savings on top of that. So the first off is we did get some sunshine. We didn't consume it all. We exported a little bit of it back to the grid, £3.72's worth in fact. So there's a bit of saving from there. And then we self-consumed some solar in that time. We would have been consuming at 30p a unit in the daytime, which was obviously when the sun was shining and when this was generated. So that would have saved us £18.96. So a bigger chunk here. But this whopping chunk, and that's the big contribution, the biggest single contribution of all of this, has come from battery load shifting. And what that means is, instead of using electricity in the daytime at 30p a unit, we have been able to fill up the battery at night time at 7.5p a unit. and that's contributed a whopping £153 saving. So that means that as a consequence of having installed the solar and the battery, our electricity costs would have fallen from the price cap value of £266, or the Intelligent Go cost of £244. It's come all the way down to £68.21 here. So that's an absolutely massive saving, and that's kind of achieved passively. By that I mean that hasn't required lots of faffing around or programming or messing around with an app or doing anything. That's just install a battery, install solar panels, set it up to do the right thing at the right time each night, and let it go. So that's brought our electricity down here by a factor of about 4. But that wasn't all of the savings that we got, because we also participated in this Power Up scheme, which is where surplus renewable energy that couldn't be used elsewhere, we were offered for free by Octopus. That gave us just under £20 worth of electricity in February. And then also the saving sessions. So the saving sessions are the National Grid scheme, where there's not been enough power on the grid to satisfy demand. The National Grid has paid energy suppliers and households to reduce the amount they're consuming, or in our case, to empty our battery out to the grid. And that saved us another 20 quid. So that brought our total bill for February for electricity down to £29.95, so 30 quid. Okay, 30 quid from £265. Wow. Of that 30 quid, about £12 of that was the standing charge. So that's an amount that we have to pay anyway just to be connected to the grid. And actually, of that, £9.46 was electricity that was used to charge the car. So, we are just really down into such little sums of money now for in the month for the amount of electricity that we are using. And you can see here from this waterfall diagram how those costs just disappear as a consequence of getting the right tariff, putting in the solar and the battery kit, and then participating in these schemes from Octopus. But this is, I guess, the punchline. This shows how much money we have saved in total each month since we had things installed. And we've saved to date has been £2,137. The total cost of installing everything was £11,500. And what that means is that we've so far recovered a little under 20% of the installation cost of the solar and the battery over the last 12 months. So if we'd just kept that money in the bank, we would have maybe earned 4-5% on it, and instead it saved us nearly 20% of the total cost on our electricity bills. So that's a pretty good return on investment over this time. So in summary, we've saved about £2,000 over the last 12 months. This whole system is going to pay for itself in about 5 years, and that's on a probably 15-year working life for the batteries, 25-year working life for the solar panels. So as a financial investment, very much worthwhile. As a way of reducing our carbon footprint, obviously very significant as well. No regrets about doing it. In the time since, batteries have become cheaper, solar panels have become cheaper. Now, admittedly, electricity has also gotten a little bit cheaper in that time since, but not to the same extent. So this is still very much a financially worthwhile and environmentally worthwhile thing to do. Very keen to encourage anybody to go ahead and do this if you possibly can. That's it for now. I'm Gareth, and I will see you on the next video.